Leftists continue simping for Somalians. The latest is Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, who was like, I love Somalians so much, I'm going to eat their food at their restaurant and it tastes delicious. Oh, God. Do I have to finish this whole thing? Oh, God. Maybe if I spoon it around, they won't see that I don't like this because it tastes like shit. These people cannot be real, and yet they are. But I'm going to make one thing clear. I'm going to pass on the Somali food. Thank you. Welcome back to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. I just picture him dry heaving into the toilet after that. Like I know for a fact that man, as soon as he was done shoveling that Somali slop around, was like, if you'll excuse me, I need to run to the bathroom. Excuse me 1 second. I need to totally vomit all of this slop that I pretended was delicious. Anywho, the pipe bombing situation. Let's talk about that. We now know more information, and I love it when we record this show. It's just a small window, just a very small window that we have from the time that we record this to the time that you watch it, and everything changed, and we found out all of these new tidbits about the pipe bomber, the person that they say that they caught, the alleged pipe bomber, I'll say. We're learning a lot more, and the more we learn, the more it stinks. January 6th and January 5th, that's when the pipe bombs were allegedly placed, will probably, if we get all of the truth about it, will have to go down as the biggest FBI cover-up in history. It was a total freaking cover-up on behalf of the Biden administration. The more we hear, the more questions we have. So now we know the 30-year-old Brian Cole Jr., this is the actual picture, by the way. I remember yesterday we were not showing a picture because there was a lot of confusion on who Brian Cole Jr. was, and there were pictures being put on social media and then deleted. We waited. We can now give you the Brian Cole Jr., who lived in Woodbridge, Virginia with his mother. He's not living there anymore. He's living in a small cell. Now, people describe him as a loner who had anarchist leanings, is what they said. His grandma, by the way, said he's almost autistic, like, because he doesn't understand a lot of stuff. Which, gee, grandma, thanks a lot. He doesn't understand a lot of stuff. He must be autistic. And what's interesting is that he worked for his father's bail bond company. And this isn't just any bail bonds company, okay? This is a company that has worked to free illegal immigrants from ICE facilities. So this is a bail bonds company with an agenda. And it happens to be a radical, liberal, leftist agenda, because we also find out the family company also sued President Trump and DHS over illegal immigration and asked the Biden DOJ, to address racism. Well, this is sounding more and more like a total leftist. Oh, wait, it gets worse. They hired Black Lives Matter and George Floyd's lawyer, Benjamin Crump, to address racism. Now, man, you've got to be, that's the suspect's father, Brian Cole Sr., alongside Benjamin Crump. You've got to be like, what a gig. What a gig. You're an attorney and people are like, address racism. I'm going to hire you and pay you billable hours to address racism. I want that gig. Okay. They accused a prosecutor of discrimination back in 2021 as well. So this family that this man worked for, family company, had a whole hell of a lot of social justice activism. As it turns out, I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure it's nothing though. So when you couple that, all that information about who this guy is and what he did, when you couple that information with the fact that, again, Biden's FBI had all of this evidence, okay? Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, I'm going to play some clips from them in just a second, but they told us yesterday, they said, we actually didn't uncover any new evidence. There was no new evidence that we had uncovered. We already had all the evidence. The investigation was already done. All of the pieces of the puzzle were already there. They were already compiled by Joe Biden's FBI. We didn't gather any new information. We just put someone else in front of all of it to make sense of it, to figure it out. Well, isn't that strange? Isn't that so strange if they had the information? Now, I realize it's very hard to determine in the Biden era who was evil and who was incompetent because they did this DEI thing where it was like, you're hiring really stupid people. So I don't even know if you're doing this on purpose or you're just this stupid. But I want to play Kash Patel on this, what I personally believe was a giant cover-up by the Biden FBI.
The prior administration sat on the evidence for 4 years. There wasn't any production of new evidence from 5 years ago. Here's what we did. We went out to the country, brought in our experts, and Deputy Director Bongino led the charge and said, we are going to look at every single piece of evidence again. Trace, we looked at 3 million lines of evidence. We went back and looked at the cell phone tower data dumps. We went back and looked at the providers and what information they provided pursuant to search warrants at the time and asked questions such as, why weren't all the phone numbers scrubbed and why weren't they connected and why wasn't there any geolocational data done? Now, that is either sheer incompetence or complete intentional negligence, and neither of which is acceptable for this FBI.
So again, it's like, I don't even know who to blame as incompetent and who to blame as just actively evil and criminally covering things up because it doesn't fit their narrative and it doesn't fit their motives. I want to play Deputy FBI Director Bongino on that as well.
Well, I don't know what the hell this prior leadership team was doing outside of, targeting political opponents, weaponizing the FBI, destroying its reputation, embarrassing agents that are doing really good work out there, catching terrorists, CCP spies, and everyone else. It's almost like they were intentionally trying to decimate faith in institutions. It's horrifying.
I do think that there were a lot of people in the Biden regime that were completely incompetent, but you cannot tell me that a group of investigators had all of the same evidence and somehow couldn't get from point A to point Z. I have a hard time believing that. I have a hard time believing that what I now know to be true, what you guys all now know to be true, is that there definitely were FBI assets in the crowd. We know that Nancy Pelosi intentionally did not call, extra backup. We know that there were Capitol Police that were just basically they were waving people into the building. We know that the QAnon shaman was literally just brought around on a guided, peaceful tour. We know that all of these things happened. I know too much about January 6th to not believe that they looked at all of this evidence, didn't like that this guy was one of them, and just decided not to solve it, decided not to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, which is kind of funny when you see tweets like this from Ed Krasenstein. This was yesterday, the man arrested for the D.C. pipe bomb cases, Brian Cole Jr. of Woodbridge, Virginia. I'm sure the spin will begin to label him anything but one of MAGA's own, no matter what his ideologies were. Dude, that's you guys. That's you. That's been you. The Biden regime covered this up for 4 years because it wasn't convenient for the narrative. It's incredible to me. The Democrats will always project what they are doing onto us every single time. I can't remember how many times I've said this now. The Biden regime, the Democrats at large, they have, almost without fail, accused us of either doing what they are currently doing or doing what they already have plans to do but haven't quite yet done, but they're already in that mindset, so they just accuse us of it. The Epstein files, January 6th, the cover-up, not talking about narratives. That is them to a T. And so wouldn't you know it, just like clockwork, Just like clockwork, all of these leftist hack mainstream media outlets are trying really, really hard. They're committing a lot of like mental gymnastics to try to paint this guy as a total MAGA diehard Trump supporter. I'm so sure that the guy who worked for his family's business of trying to release illegals from ICE and asking the Biden DOJ to address racism, I'm totally sure that that's the guy who was super MAGA MS now.
We begin with the breaking news. The man accused of planting pipe bombs in D.C. is reportedly talking to investigators and revealing key information as he gets ready to face a judge.
My colleague Carol Lenig and I have learned from multiple sources that this suspect has essentially confessed to planting the bombs, and he's told FBI agents that he is a supporter of Donald Trump.
Yes, that is definitely true. Definitely happened. Trust us, bro. Trust us, bro. We don't have a source to back it up. There's nothing public that's been released. Literally all of the other background information we know, that doesn't jive with at all. But trust us, bro. We promise we heard it from a super top secret source who also heard it from their brother's, grandma's, daughter's, uncle's horse. That's what we're reduced to at this point when you're dealing with MS. I laugh every time I have to say MS now. MS now. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot you were MSNBC. It's like this new cool MS Now that actually reports the truth, except not. New boss, same as the old boss. Here's another one, NBC News. First on NBC News, pipe bomb suspect told FBI he believed 2020 election conspiracy theories. Oh, so this one is interesting to me because, Stephen, I'll ask you, do you think that you have to be a Republican to believe that like 81 million people did not vote for Joe Biden?
No, I don't think you'd have to.
You would just need eyeballs, right?
Yeah, it's fair.
I'm like, I don't know that in and of itself really does not tell you much about whether or not he's a Trump supporter. All these people had to do was watch Joe Biden on the campaign trail and then look. More votes than Barack Obama. Don't mind the drop boxes that are being stuffed, okay? Don't pay attention to those. That's just that was for your safety because of COVID. This guy had more passion than Barack Obama, the first half black president of the United States. Like, that's what you're supposed to believe. Or you had eyeballs. So that actually tells me nothing. But the mental gymnastics that they're going to try to tell you, trust us, bro, he was a Trump supporter. Just like Charlie Kirk's assassin, not. Just like the guy who shot President Trump, not. They do this every time, despite the mounds of evidence that we have to prove otherwise. Do you think for one freaking second, if they could tie him to Trump in any way, the Biden FBI would have sat on this for 4 freaking years? Like, are you out of your mind? They were throwing pro-life protesters in prison. You think for one, they were going after just random freaking people on the street protesting abortion. You think that they wouldn't go after a guy who planted pipe bombs if he was a Trump supporter? Are you smoking crack? Like, of course they would have done that. Okay? Now, my favorite of all of this is probably Jake Tapper, who honestly, before President Trump, I used to actually respect. Like, I met him and I enjoyed my conversation with him. And we, I think, exchanged DMs a couple times in 2015, where I felt like he was reasonable and actually objective. And then he lost the plot. And then President Trump broke his brain. His poor brain is like all melty. And since then, he's just been really terrible. And I would like to play you the ever distinguished the biggest journalism that you could ever have always comes from Jake Tapper, who said this about the suspect.
Ryan Cole Jr., A 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs is charged with transporting an
Say
explosive
what?
device in interstate commerce.
I'm sorry, come
and
again,
with
Jake?
malicious destruction.
Come again? Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man. Yes, he is super white. He is definitely white. And by the way, even if he's not white, he acts white. That's what they'll say next. Well, he was a Trump supporter, so he acts white. He's white passing. That's what I get all the time. Okay, well, maybe he wasn't white, but he's still a white supremacist because of his beliefs. You don't actually have to be white if you're Jake Tapper. Work that out, okay? Now, I would just like to also point out that Jake Tapper's pinned tweet on X, to see what is in front of one's nose needs a constant struggle. George Orwell. I would say so, Jake. I would say so. Make sure that you subscribe to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Hit the bell. Smash the like button, or you can gently tap it. We all appreciate a gentle tapping from time to time. And comment. It'll help us in the algorithm. I love that you guys are like super lively in the live chat, but what I need for you to do is go over and make sure you are hitting the thumbs up on the actual video, not in the live chat. And then you can go back to chatting it up in the live chat. And then make sure to share the show. It'll help us with the algorithm. All right, want to thank our sponsor, PreBorn, and then we'll be back with more. So I love talking about PreBorn, but I love talking about PreBorn right before Christmas because Christmas is the perfect time to support PreBorn. PreBorn is giving scared women who have these unplanned pregnancies, they're considering killing their babies, they're considering abortion. If they go into a Planned Parenthood's going to tell them it's just a clump of cells. Don't worry, you won't regret a thing. We're just going to suck that thing right out of you and you're going to feel much better tomorrow. Obviously, that's all a book of lies. What PreBorn's network of clinics is doing is very simple. They're showing these women the truth on ultrasound. They're showing them their babies. They're listening to the heartbeat. And in that moment, they are twice as likely to choose life. What PreBorn is also doing is they are helping these women financially. They're helping them with baby supplies. They're helping them with car seats. They're helping them financially for like the first 2 years of these babies' lives. So I'm telling you, if you have a Christmas party you're going to go to and you don't know what you're going to get, an adult who doesn't need a present. What do I get them? Give them the gift of life. Please, $28 is the cost of an ultrasound. $28, you can save a baby's life. How many babies' lives can you save? Because let me tell you, there's a special matching grant right now and your gift will be doubled. How many babies' lives can you help us save? We want to save as many babies as possible. You can do that by going to preborn.com/Sarah. Please help us. preborn.com/Sarah. I try to thank God every day for RFK Jr. being in the position that he's in as Secretary of HHS. And today was one of many reasons why I am so grateful for his leadership. His panel, his new appointed CDC panel, has removed the universal hepatitis B vaccine recommendations for United States infants. And it says the vote maintains that babies of mothers positive for hepatitis B should still get the vaccination. By the way, they suggested this panel. They didn't, contrary to the leftist hysteria that you undoubtedly are hearing on social media, they didn't say you're not allowed to give it to your baby. They didn't say you should never give it to your baby. They simply suggested, instead of giving this to a minutes-old baby, you could just wait until the baby is 2 months old for the first dose. That's literally all that they are suggesting, which again is like so incredibly, I mean, it's reasonable to the extent that I'm kind of like, I feel like they should have gone further. So it's just funny to hear all of the leftist hysteria, like, we want to vaccinate the babies when they're seconds old. We don't want to wait until they're 2 months. Are you kidding? That's a lifetime. We want to get them as soon as possible. Like, what? It's weird. It's a weird cult. It's cultish behavior. Now, I want to just give you guys some history on how long were we doing this? When did this come into play and why? Because it seems very silly. When you look at it objectively, it seems very silly that we would just be standard one size fits all. We're going to inject every minutes old baby with a hepatitis B vaccine, regardless of like their exposure risk or anything like that. Since 1991, they have had a universal hepatitis B vaccine recommendation for the first dose within 24 hours of birth. Ask me if my kids got that. You can miss me with that, okay? So their recommendation for the first dose was within 24 hours of birth. What I am here to tell you, which most of you know if you're mothers, is it's like the first thing that they do when the baby comes out. They give them the vitamin K shot, and they give them the hepatitis, like the baby comes out, and they're like, jab them up almost immediately. The second dose, they want to give between 1 to 2 months of age. The third dose between 6 to 18 months of age. And again, I would just stress to you guys, this wasn't like a mandate. That was the Biden regime. They did the mandates. This isn't a mandate. It's simply a suggestion, a recommendation. So choice is still with the parents. You can choose to give your baby as many injections as possible, but we should be relying on the scientific data that we have on these recommendations. So I just want to express to you how reasonable this is. I mean, pregnant women who are infected with hepatitis B could pass the virus to their babies during childbirth, which is, of course, the argument that you get from them. Well, what if the mom has hepatitis B and then the baby contracts it during birth? Well, here's the problem. They already test you for that when you are a pregnant mother. They already test you for that before the baby comes out. So they already know that you don't have hepatitis B. How else would the baby contract hepatitis? Don't take my word for it. Take the Mayo Clinic's word for it. Hepatitis B spreads through contact with blood, semen, or other body fluids from an infected person, and your risk infection rises if you have sex without a condom with multiple sex partners or with someone who's infected with hepatitis B, share needles during the use of drugs injected into a vein, are born male, and have sex with men. Which, by the way, for the record, that's like actually really crazy that the Mayo Clinic has to say if you're born male. Like they can't just say men who are having sex with other men, because according to the Mayo Clinic, you can change your gender. So we have to say that you're born male and have sex with men to clarify, like if you got a ding-a-ling that you're sticking into someone's, you know what?
And you can't just say gay men.
No.
You have to.
Born male and you happen to have sex with other men, like
gay,
oopsies.
and you accidentally have sex with other men.
You just
it doesn't make you gay. Just
Oopsies, my penis fell into this hole. I didn't mean to, you know? I mean, like, who among us hasn't had that happen? And so you look at the risk factors here for contracting hepatitis B. I don't know about you guys. My babies are not going to like crazy drug orgies. Like they're just not. In fact, they're not going anywhere because they can't walk. They can't do anything. They're not doing anything with any risk. So why, if you can trust that the babies are not going out there having like drug-fueled orgies, why did they come up with this dumb universal recommendation that every single baby in the United States needs a hepatitis B shot within 24 hours of coming out of the womb? Why in the world, after they're testing the mother, they determine that the mothers who do not have hepatitis B still need their babies to have this shot within 24 hours of birth? Why in the world would they have ever justified this? Why? Here's why. Because the junkie adults didn't want to get the shot. They didn't want to get the shot. This is from the New York Times, March of 1991. U.S. panel urges that all children be vaccinated for hepatitis B. It is the first time that the Immunization Practices Advisory Committee of the Public Health Service has recommended vaccinating children for a disease whose victims are almost always adults. If adults won't go for the shots, give them to babies. It's right there. It's right there. Dr. Margolis said officials hoped that the 3 shots would give lifetime immunity against Hep-B, but there was no way to be sure because the vaccine had only been around for 10 years. And surveys of healthcare workers showed that they underestimated their chances of getting hepatitis and rationalized not being vaccinated by saying they worried that the vaccine itself might be more risky than the chance that they would get the disease. So you have these adults who are making very clear-eyed decisions. They are weighing the risks and the benefits. And the healthcare workers themselves are saying, I'm just going to roll the dice. I'm going to take my chances. I'm just going to take my chances. I don't really want to get the vaccine. And the medical industrial complex said, no, we know better than you. You're actually underestimating the chances that you can get hepatitis, and you don't know what's best for you. We do. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that out of your hands. You don't get to make that decision anymore because we will make sure that every child in this country is vaccinated from a disease, from a virus that they likely will not get because we know what's best. And it's, by the way, it's very convenient for us that we get to charge every single time we do that. But please, don't follow the money. Okay, aside from that, studies found that only 6.9% people had long-lasting immunity to hepatitis B. So you're giving your baby the shot and you're rolling the dice that A, your newborn baby doesn't have any adverse reaction, and B, that they will actually be one of the 6.9% of people who have long-lasting immunity in case they are a junkie who's sharing needles and going to the drug-fueled orgies as adults. Like, none of this makes sense if you are looking at it objectively and scientifically. None of that, all of their arguments fall apart when you think of this logically. Because guess what? I shouldn't have to put my baby at risk of adverse reactions because some drug-addicted adult doesn't want to take a shot. Okay, let them get hepatitis B then. Why is that my baby's problem? Who cares? I have very little sympathy for adults who make decisions to participate in degeneracy. Why is that my baby's problem? And yet that was healthcare policy in this country since 1991. You want to do scientific? The committee also voted in favor of the antibody test after children receive a hepatitis B vaccination to determine if further doses are even needed. That's what they do. They jam you full of all of these vaccines. They have no idea if you still have titers that show that you are still immune. They want to do it. They want to do it to your kids. They want to do it to your dogs. It's insane. This is cult behavior. So now that I've explained to you, they're not taking away your rights. They're not taking away your choice to poison your children. I wish they would. I don't like it that people can do this to babies and think that they're doing, have very good intentions, by the way. Because there's just so much misinformation out there from doctors. And so all they did is they said, maybe instead of seconds old, we could just do it to 2-month-olds. Maybe we could just do that. And yet you still have the hysteria like this.
It's unbelievable. And, that just infuriates me so much, Erin, because you mentioned hepatitis B. That vaccine's been around since 1991. Mm-hmm. And you know what we've seen since then? We've seen a 99% decrease in Hep-B infections. So it works.
It works.
And it's been really important to health, and not just to anyone's health, the health of our
all of the babies, all of the newborns that were all the slutty newborns who were going around participating in all this unprotected sex. All of these drug-addicted babies who were like, hey, pass the heroin at this party that I'm at. All of those babies, now there's 99% decrease in all those babies contracting hepatitis B. Okay, of course, if you're giving them a vaccine at birth, you will have less of infections. But why are you giving it to them at birth? By the way, you care so much about health, Maura Healey. You tell me, please, can you comment on the 300% increase of autism? Care to comment since 1991? Care to comment on that? Care to comment on, wow, conveniently, when you guys started giving our children all of these poisons, it's so crazy. It's actually so crazy that autism is just a coincidence. I know. It's just a coincidence. Okay? Correlation does not equal causation. It's just that everything correlates to this particular thing. But listen, all of the drug addicted and sex addicted babies will be safe from hepatitis B. Anyway, I am grateful to RFK Jr. for his leadership, really, really immensely, especially today. And now that I've talked to you about all of that, I'm going to talk to you about BlueChew. Speaking of the medical industrial complex, sometimes they do good things. And sometimes, if you want to make more babies and not give them the hepatitis B shot at birth, you could start by using BlueChew, okay? Because BlueChew helps you keep your confidence in the bedroom right where it belongs, fully charged, steady, and ready when life calls for it. And here's the thing. BlueChew is like, it's like the little blue pill. Everyone knows, okay? But the thing with BlueChew is that you don't have to have ED. You can just want to spice things up. Spice up your life with BlueChew. Yep. You gotta go there. Make sure, go there. They're gonna have a licensed doctor who does everything for you, ships it directly, discreetly to your door, so no one's gonna know. It's totally fine. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try your first month of BlueChew free when you use promo code Sarah at checkout. $5 for shipping. That is promo code Sarah. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. Thank you to BlueChew for sponsoring BlueChew.com. Promo code Sarah. Oh, everyone's favorite Somali, Ilhan Omar, is, I don't know if you caught this earlier this week. She's victim blaming about the Minnesota fraud schemes. She's like, no, you don't blame these Somali criminals who committed all of these crimes. It's actually the program's fault because it's just the program wasn't set up right. Shoot.
Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created. It
was the guardrails. It was the guardrails' fault, which is so crazy because she's the one who set them up. Apparently, it links back to this case. U.S. attorney announces federal charges against 47 defendants in $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. Nonprofit Feeding Our Future and 200 plus meal sites in Minnesota perpetrated the largest COVID-19 fraud scheme in the nation. And the scheme was all made possible because of the 2020 Meals Act. Now, I'd like for you to take an educated guess at who authored and introduced that bill. It was her, Ilhan Omar. It was actually rolled into what she suggested, what she put forth was rolled into H.R. 6201, Families First, Coronavirus Response Act, where it became law. By the way, she bragged about authoring it online. She said, in 2020, we passed the Meals Act, a bill that authorized school meal waivers that protected access to school meals during the pandemic. So what happened is people used this law to funnel the money away. And she's the one who did it. Now, you might be saying, okay, Sarah, but how could she possibly know that someone would take advantage of her law? Well, there's a peculiar thing that has happened. One of the people charged was Salim Abdallah, who co-owned the Safari restaurant, all right? Safari restaurant, he was found guilty in August of stealing over $12 million for serving 3.9 phantom meals during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, hopefully, the meals did not look like the meal that Jacob Frey was eating earlier because that looks like shit. Now, this guy blew much of the money on a $2 million Minneapolis mansion, $9,000 a month shopping habits. Oh, and coincidentally enough, here's Ilhan Omar working at that same restaurant. She says, first of all, I'm glad we reached Safari. Safari is one of the places to prepare food every day. Every day, Safari provides 2,300 meals to children and their families. She's a big fan of that guy and the Safari restaurant. She's over there serving people during COVID. And by the way, her 2018 victory party was held at that restaurant. Well, that's odd. It must just be, it's just coincidence, actually. Except there was another one who was charged, who is, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that one, some Somali. And this guy actually worked, he has a Star Wars name. He worked on Ilhan Omar's campaign, 2020 and 2018, as an enforcer, whatever that means. So it's just so crazy that she's saying blame the guardrails, and she's the one who set up the guardrails, and all of these people who profited off of the largest COVID era scheme ever, funneling all of this money, sometimes to terror groups. It's just that she's like friends with all of them. Isn't that odd? Isn't that strange? I mean, I can say with 100% confidence that I don't know any like criminals who are embezzling money. And by the way, if I do, I don't know that they do. And by the way, they wouldn't be using any rules that I set. So it just seems very strange to me. It's very strange to me that Ilhan Omar invented the rules, set up the system that all of her buddies seemed to profit from, and she knew nothing about it. Yeah, this needs to be investigated at the highest levels because her fingerprints are all over this fraud scheme. She's already said that she represents Somalian interest and she shouldn't be in this country. So please, Donald Trump, everyone needs to be telling Donald Trump and Pam Bondi, you guys need to investigate the shit out of this. There's no way that she was not connected, okay? I want to thank our sponsor. And then when we come back, I cannot wait to talk to my guests. I want to tell you about a movie that you have to see. You guys have to go see it. We will get into that after, of course, we thank our sponsor, Beam Organics. Now, Beam's cyber sale is still live for my listeners. It is their best offer of the year, but it's only for until the end of the week, which happens to be today. This is Friday. That's today, okay? Right now, my listeners get up to 50% off with my code Sarah G. You might think that says Sarag. Well, we're not in Lord of the Rings. So you could say Sarah G. You could say Sarag. I don't really care how you say it. I'm just caring that you get the best sleep of your life for just about $1 per night, okay? We all know it can be especially hard during Christmas to like get good sleep. You've got all these things that you're thinking of. You make sure that you buy something for your cousins and your grandkids. And do I have everyone checked off? Okay, so I want to tell you about Beam's Dream Powder. Beam is proudly founded in America. It's run by people who share our values, hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. It's made with all natural ingredients. If you've been waiting for the right time to try Dream, go to shopbeam.com/Sarah G. Use code Sarah G to get up to 50% off. Shopbeam.com/Sarah G. So I had the pleasure of being able to watch a screener of one of the new Angel Studios movies that is coming out, and I was blown away at how great it was. It's called David, and it's about it's like a animated musical that is, of course, about David and Goliath, and just kind of David's path. And it was just so well done. I mean, look at the imagery, just the everything, the picture, the graphics, everything is just amazing. And I want to go ahead. I want to play let's play the trailer.
Come on and follow the light.
David, you have stolen the hearts of my people.
I have never wanted the throne.
Lies!
What happens now? You stolen David. Fight to the death.
I never asked for this.
The true battle is not against flesh and blood, but in our hearts.
It actually gives me chills just watching that trailer, knowing how the movie goes. I cried at the end and I realized it's a cartoon, and I was like, I feel silly crying because it's a cartoon, and it was like, it's my children are here watching this and I'm the only one crying. But it was really well done, and I wanted to bring on two of the people helping get the movie out there, John Walter and Micah Dunn. John and Micah are the co-founders of 2521 Entertainment, which is the production company and film studio whose movies shine light on the power of spirit and religion. Guys, thank you for joining me. How did this movie come together?
Yeah, it was a process that was incredible to be a part of. The movie itself has been going on for about 10 years, and we were able to have the blessing of coming in and making sure that it came to theaters very recently.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really amazed me was, I mean, the quality of the technology, you know, of the animation. It looks better. I would say this, at least the same, if not better, than the things that like Disney and Pixar are putting out. I was actually amazed, and I'm like, wow, things are changing. Times are changing. It's not just Disney and Pixar that can handle this type of, you know, animation and technology. It's you guys.
That's right. And I'd say Sunrise Studios, you can watch this film many times over and see different little Easter eggs throughout it because of the amount of detail that Phil Cunningham and Brent Doss put into this. And it is truly phenomenal.
Yeah, it's really, I never thought that we would actually get back to a time where we could do these kinds of movies, right? And make them mainstream. And I think you guys and your partner with Angel Studios, you guys are showing that we can do this again. Religion is, it felt like, I don't mean to get political, but I'm going to get a little political, guys, because it's just what I do. It felt like in the Biden era, it felt like everything was so dark and like you couldn't talk about religion and you had to talk about all things trans or whatever. And now all of a sudden with the incoming, president, with President Trump, it feels like he had a Holy Week during Easter. Like we're allowed to talk about religion again. We're allowed to celebrate Christianity again. And it feels that way in the movie arena as well, Micah.
Yes, I would totally agree with you, Sarah, as a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Just got exhausting to not be able to take your kids to anything, just with fear of they're going to get indoctrinated. What are they going to see? And so to see something come to theaters that you can bring your grandmother, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, kids, and everyone have that community experience around a film like David, to see values like courage, faith, the Lord is my shepherd, I can trust him. I am so excited for families to get to go this Christmas and to be able to enjoy something instead of just be indoctrinated or preached at through an ideology, just actually something good and wholesome and excellent.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, you don't have to be a Christian to enjoy this movie. It obviously is biblical, and I think you guys did a great job of keeping it biblical and not straying from the biblical story. But also, it's just an enjoyable movie. It's just a really it's funny. It's, like I said, I cried. It's touching. It's charming. It's enjoyable regardless of your religion. But I going back to the biblical nature of it, how important was it for you guys to make sure to keep it biblical, don't stray from what we already know happened?
Yeah, incredibly important. Phil Cunningham has said that time and time again. And I'd say there's two kind of themes throughout it. One is the idea that the Lord is our shepherd. David constantly says that throughout it. Mm-hmm. And because of that, he can have great courage, knowing that the Lord has the control, that there's nothing that David can do in this certain circumstance he's in, is throughout the entire film, and it's well done.
Yeah, it really is. Are you guys working on any other biblical stories or anything else to kind of, we're taking culture back, right? We're taking Hollywood back. Tell me what you guys are working on.
So with the confidence that the pre-sale numbers have shown us, and just with theaters, adding screens daily. We are hoping to be in over 3,000 theaters by the end of this. And we are setting pre-sale records day by day. And so I just encourage your audience to buy those pre-sales, talk to your neighbors, talk to your families, talk to your churches, because that just indicates to the industry as a whole, there's a hungry audience for this type of content. Yep. And if that happens and there's success, there are some things in the works that this type of content could continue down the pipeline.
You're going to leave me hanging, Micah. Fine. Okay, fine.
Soon,
fine.
Sarah. Soon, I promise.
Okay. Well, that being said, then I do want to make sure everyone knows, my audience knows where to go to get their tickets. Is it, I know we've done some work with Angel in the past. Is it still angel.com?
Angels.com/tickets.
Okay.
And you can go and pre-buy the tickets right now. We actually encourage your audience to do so. They can do it in a theater right next to them. And we're constantly adding new screens. So please go and buy. That'd be awesome.
I want to make sure that I make something clear because, as I just said, we have done some partnership with Angel on prior movies in the past. I want to make sure my audience knows this. This is not a sponsorship deal. I was not my Blaze is not being paid. I'm not being paid to have you guys on to talk about it. I just genuinely loved this movie. And I love Angel Studios and I love y'all's production company. But I just want to make clear because the past, it was like The Last Rodeo or some of the other stories that they had done, they had actually been sponsors of the program. I'm getting paid $0 to do this. I just really love the movie. I just really love the movie. And I am so excited that there is this movement to take culture back and stop all of this, liberal, radical indoctrination in every single thing that we put in front of our children. And I was just so happy that I was able to watch this with my 5-year-old and my 13-year-old and my parents. So we had the grandparents all the way down, our whole family, all the way down to my 5-year-old. And literally everyone enjoyed it. And it was so refreshing to have that because it just feels like we don't have that anymore. So I loved it, you guys. And I would encourage everyone. Yeah, I would encourage everyone to go to angel.com, go pre-order the tickets, go get them now for whoever's going to be in town. It opens in theaters nationwide December 19th. So whoever's going to be in town with you, I'm sure you're going to have family come into town or whatever. Make sure you buy a ticket for everyone because everyone is going to enjoy it. Angel.com. And do it as a special favor to me because I want Micah to tell me what they have in the pipeline.
Yes.
Micah.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much. You are our biggest cheerleader. And just your leadership in changing culture, we are so appreciative and so humbled and grateful to be a part of this project and bring this type of content to life. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys, John Walter and Micah Dunn. Thank you guys, and we'll talk soon.
Bye. Thank you.
See ya. Y'all make sure you go to angel.com/tickets. Go check it out. I'm telling you, I was just so touched by this movie. Make sure you check it out. David, it opens in theaters nationwide December 19th, angel.com/tickets. And we will, that's it for us. We'll see you guys Monday.